Hi everyone, it's been a while since I've done a video on the heart sound recorder and I wanted to show you this. This is actually mine. I've made some changes throughout the last year. I'm going to just show you how those changes have affected my heart. This is, again, a heart sound recorder. For those of you who haven't watched any of the earlier videos on this, I'm just going to briefly go through this. There's other videos that I have that go into a lot more detail on what exactly you're looking at so that you understand it. Also, anybody else who works with a heart sound recorder will obviously be able to know what's going on here. And welcome to give me some input as well. I'm always interested. So this is how the heart works: is you have a contraction of the heart, so the valves open, the blood rushes out of the heart into the arteries, and this is where the heart actually closes. This is where the valves actually close. And then there's basically a rest period in here. So you have the lub-dub of the heart, rest period, lub-dub, rest. Okay? So one of the things you want to see in this is you want to see a stronger beat at the beginning. So when the heart contracts, and you want to see a smaller one when the valves actually close. Okay? So that's what you're looking at there. The thickness of the heart determines the strength, the overall strength, and also the height can also determine that as well. So in mine, looking at it, it's not great at this point. This was done in May of last year, so May 24th, 2022. And you can see, particularly this area looks okay. You get into this, you have a little bit of fluctuation in the heart muscle tissue, usually an indication of a B vitamin deficiency. So, and then on this one, and each of these are different parts of the heart you're listening to. This is the mitral, tricuspid, aortic, and pulmonic. These are different valves. So you're listening to all four valves of the heart. There's actually four of them in the heart. And again, I go into that in the earlier videos, and I'm not necessarily going to cover that right now. Okay? So you can see in the aortic one, you can see how this is smaller than this. This is usually an indication of possibly a protein deficiency or adrenal fatigue. So for that, there's very specific products we would give for that to make that change. Pulmonic actually looks okay. And also in between here, you see how these little lines are? These little things, the little fluctuations. That's an indication that the blood is making some sound as it's going through the arteries. So that could be an indication of possible plaquing of the arteries, or it's just not moving through very smoothly. So we're just going to assume that's probably slight plaquing. It's not too bad though. So we go into, actually between 5/24 and 10/26 of last year, I started doing what would be classified as intermittent fasting because I wanted to see if that would make any change at all. So my diet has been always relatively consistent for the last 20 years. I've done mostly meats and vegetables, green leafy vegetables. I rarely ever have any vegetables with sugar in them. Rarely ever have candy, cookies, cake, or ice cream. So my diet's been clean for quite some time. Also, just so there's some other things I want to actually go over. At that time period, my blood pressure was running in the low 130s and high 80s to low 90s. Okay, so it was like 135 over say 92 or 93, which is a little bit high for me. And my pulse rate was running in the mid 60s. Okay, so just so you have that data. Now, according to studies, etc., doing something like intermittent fasting is supposed to help. It's supposed to improve these conditions. So by 10/26, I had been on intermittent fasting for about 4 months, I'd say. I went off it just a little bit before this one, but it's pretty close to. Let's see if I can pull this one up. And there it goes. Okay, good. So you can see the difference. Like if you look at this one, just the aortic, and we're just going to concentrate on that one for right now, and you can see the difference here. Missing actually the second beat, but you can see how that changed. So adrenal fatigue helped, and it also helped with B supplementation or B vitamins. And I was probably taking some Bs at the time. I actually don't recall, but usually I would be. And that's what that looks like. Okay, so you can see a little bit of a difference there, right? So now we go to now from 1026 to 26. So there's about 90 days or so I was doing what would be classified as a carnivore diet, which is all meat, no vegetables, and I was eating eggs, chicken, fish, beef, whatever, any type of meat, liver, etc. I wasn't necessarily modifying it to like saying, okay, I'm only going to eat this or that or whatever. It's just any type of meat I was eating. And so you can see just before I started this, so this is when I was going to start carnivore. The other one was intermittent fasting. And I can't say it was intermittent fasting. It was just I was running the diet a little bit tighter than I was in May. So now you look at that, and then you compare that to 2-6. This is 90 days. You can see how slow my heart just went. See how that's beating? There's almost 3 beats a picture. Now you're down to basically 2.5. See that? Just a difference there. Just in the speed of the heart. Running a little bit slower. And that actually means that the heart is more relaxed. It's not working as hard. You can see there's some good strength here. And yeah, so this was actually an improvement. So I said, okay, well, there's a little bit of an improvement there. My blood pressure was still a little bit higher. You know, still in a low 130s, high 80s at this point, high to low 80s, or high 80s, low 90s, which again is a little bit high for me. And my pulse rate was around 60 beats a minute on this one. So, improvement. Also, if you're looking at the, you know, particularly lines in between, you see how smooth these are now? See that? Not quite as, there's not as much noise there. So let's go back. This is in May of last year. This is in February of 23. You can see a difference, right? So you see that. I know it's a little bit hard if you're not used to looking at these, but you can see all those little fluctuations. See these little lines, little dots, right? Even there you see it. Okay, that's the blood not going smoothly through the veins or through the arteries. You go here, it's almost a year later, you can see just little dips, little ones, a little bit there, little dips, but not as bad as what it was in May of last year. Okay, so anyway. So that was 90 days on the carnivore diet. And I'm only doing 90 days on these because within 3 months you should be able to see some sort of change. Now, honestly, during intermittent fasting, I had no weight loss. During carnivore diet, I've had no weight loss. Right now I'm sitting at around 225 or so. I think when I started it, I was at 228. So if you want to classify as 3-pound weight loss over the course of 90 days, it's 3 pounds. I guess that's a pound a month. I mean, that's just insignificant considering what I thought would happen on doing a diet that was that tight. But again, even on intermittent fasting, I don't think I lost more than a couple pounds during the 4 months I was doing that. And I've done that twice now for 4 months each time. So I said, okay, well, one thing I noticed, particularly the difference between doing basically a ketogenic intermittent fasting diet and the carnivore diet, was I had knee pain when I was walking up or down stairs, and I have a lot of back pain, mid back, lower back. I've had multiple injuries. I have actually 5 herniated discs in my lower back. I have some osteophyte formation, which are basically arthritic formation in my middle back. From the 7th vertebrae down to the 12th is actually fused. So I have some inflammatory conditions associated with my back, and it was one of the things I'm doing these diets for, to see if this actually helps it. So during the carnivore diet, my knee pain did go away. That was relatively new. I had it for probably about a year, maybe a year and a half. It was never really super bad. It wasn't to a point where I'm like, okay, I got to do something about it. But it was just annoying. It was irritating. That's probably about 95% gone. There's still some times where it catches a bit, but overall, it's definitely improved. And again, I'm doing the carnivore diet as an anti-inflammatory diet. So I said, okay, let's run this a little bit tighter. So starting in, actually 6 weeks ago, so May 1st, so in between the 6th of February, actually I think I probably stopped in the beginning of March. No, actually that was around that time period. So I came off that diet for about 6 weeks or so and just went on. I actually wanted to try something completely different. After reading a few books on arthritic pains and things like that, I wanted to try some other diets and stuff to see if they helped at all. And I wasn't noticing any particular change with that. And again, these were diets that were literally written in the 1950s and earlier. So figuring, let's try it and see what happens. And I'm not necessarily going to cover that here because it's not super important, but just to give you an idea, I was doing something in between these. So after that, I said, okay, I want to see now if we can actually lose some more weight on this, and also see if there's any inflammatory changes that I can improve on. So I went on to what's called the Lion diet, which is red meat and salt. So I did that for the last 6 weeks. Normally I'd go 90 days and check this, but I just had some time this morning. I said, I'll put myself on this and just see what it looks like. So I want to check my blood pressure. Again, my blood pressure didn't drop during the carnivore diet. It actually stayed relatively the same. So I said, okay, well, let's see what it is today. So my blood pressure was 127 over 87. So still a little bit in the high 80s on the low end, but the top end is 127. So it's 10 points below what it normally had been before that. So that's pretty huge. But what was really interesting was my heart rate dropped down to 45 to 50 beats a minute now. It's resting heart rate. And that is the same heart rate I had when I was bodybuilding and exercising, like, hour and a half every day, 7 days a week, 2 hours a day. So, at that rate, you would figure your heart rate would be slower, but I haven't had a chance to really exercise. I walk an hour every 4 days a week, and that's really it. I haven't been weightlifting because I have a shoulder injury and I just don't want to trash it anymore. Plus the knee pain I was having originally, I didn't want to irritate it, so I just haven't weightlifted in a long time. It's been at least a year now. So for my heart rate to be that low, that was a little bit surprising to me. But I'm not tired. I don't feel fatigue. I'm able to do whatever I need to do. When I take my walks, I'm fine. When I run my dogs, I'm fine. When I do anything, it seems to be functioning okay, which I'm a little surprised. So now, 6 weeks ago, I started the Lion diet, and here's the difference in the graphs. And this is only 6 weeks. Like I said, I normally do 90 days, but this is 6 weeks. And there you go. So now you can see in between, almost nothing, almost nothing, almost nothing, moving much smoother, body's working better. And this is probably one of the best graphs I've ever seen, not just for me, but for every single patient I've ever seen. These are about as perfect as you can get. There's absolutely no fluctuation in the heart. Oh, and by the way, I'm not supplementing right now. Normally I'd be supplementing, taking some B vitamins. The only thing I'm supplementing right now is I take an intestinal cleanse just to keep myself going, because I do have some constipation issues. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not sure why I'm doing it right now, because that seems to be functioning pretty well. And I'm also taking just a vitamin C supplement. And really that's about it. There's a couple other things, but none of those would create this kind of change in the graph. But that's like unfreaking real to me. So that's 6 weeks on the Lion diet. Now this diet, and here's what I found truly amazing about this, is because every research paper you read, it says that if you have any sort of heart condition, high blood pressure, congested heart failure, anything like that, clogging your arteries, right? Atherosclerosis, any of those particular conditions, you're not really supposed to eat meat or salt. And that's all I'm doing. Eating salt, nothing else. Oh, and that's not true. I eat pork rinds once in a while. So that's it. I mean, you can see the difference. It's friggin' amazing. So you got strong beat, solid, nice closure. From top to bottom, this should be about the third the size of that, which it basically is. The thickness of the bead is awesome, particularly in aortic, which is, this goes out to the rest of the body, so you really want that strong, particularly for energy and things like that. Pulse rate being as low as it is means that my heart is not working very hard. So you can see that here, good strong beat, nice closure, and very little, very little fluctuation. And to me, I'm surprised because I honestly thought it would be worse. I really did. I wasn't expecting this. So I wanted to put a video up on it. I am now going to, I'm going to finish out the next 6 weeks because I want to do at least 90 days, which is basically 12 weeks, and recheck it at the end of that. I'm also going to do some blood studies then. So hopefully I can get a chance. I'll put another video up on that. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm actually floored at this because I honestly wasn't expecting this. Just also so you know, on the weight loss scene, I still haven't lost any weight. So I'm not sure what's happening with that. I'm not going to reduce the amount I'm eating. Currently, I'm just eating 2 meals a day. So I basically have a steak at lunch and either a steak or a couple burgers at dinner. I occasionally have liver in there. I do eat pork rinds in between sometimes just because this gives me something to crunch on while I'm watching TV or playing a video game or hanging out with the dogs or something. So yeah, and that's it. And I'm actually also doing that because I need to increase the fat. Pork rinds are mostly fat. So yeah, surprise to me. So anyway, so anybody who knows how to read this, on the, any of the doctors out there who are questioning whether or not these particular diets work, whether it's the carnivore diet or the lion diet, I mean, the heart sound recorder is what your heart sounds like. You can even see the difference between February and now. I mean, there's a huge difference there. Huge difference. So if this maintains and continues to work and I don't have something go wrong, which in this world happens, yeah, I mean, I'm going to continue on it for at least another 6 weeks and see if there's any changes. I'm really hoping I lose at least 20, 25 pounds. Maybe not in the next 6 weeks, but at some point along, the rest of this year, because I do want to lose a little bit more weight. But otherwise, that looks phenomenal. Like phenomenal. So if you want to try these diets out, do the lion diet. If you're interested in doing any of these programs, you're welcome to give me a call. The phone number here at my office is 716-754-9039. I work with a lot of patients. I have not put a patient on this diet yet. Some of my heart condition patients, I'm a little concerned about putting them on something like this because of the medications and some of the other things they're on. But if you want to get and maintain some health, yeah, I don't see a reason that I'm not necessarily recommending it to anyone to do this unless you are under physician's care, just so you know, because this is a little bit extreme. And looks good. So pass this along to anybody you want, and you can see the differences in the graphs. These graphs are real. These are my personal graphs. So that's all I'm going to cover for today, and if you guys need anything, let me know, and always remember, a well-nourished body is a happy body.